This is The Burning Truth. Ladies and gentlemen, dude and dudettes, I am your host Matt Burns, and it appears that technical issues are still occurring at this moment in time. I do apologise, as it sounded like the intro had paused for a moment. I do apologise for that. Unfortunately, this has been a later episode than usual. This has been due to some technical difficulties that have occurred today, and hopefully should no longer be occurring for future episodes. I do apologise for that, and as such, I know there's been a lot of late episodes as of recently, but from now on, what I am going to state with this broadcast is that every week, the actual scheduled time for this broadcast is now going to be officially any time between 9 and 10 o'clock, because the reason why I'm going to state that is because it's no excuse for, as much as I want to be bang on time, I do get some complications, I can be late as such, and instead of actually always having to apologise for lateness as such, of not being bang on 9 o'clock, being a minute late and everything, I thought it'd be a lot better to state that from now on, the Burning Truth broadcast will be starting from now on, anytime between 9 to 10 p.m. Sunday UK Standard Time, or British Standard Time, and everything, BST, GMT, and everything. So let's get on with wrestling. While we're all here, wrestling news. Just to state, as always, as of late, there will be a new member of the roster being revealed for the UKWA tomorrow. So please be on the lookout for that on the UKWA social media, as the latest member of the roster will be revealed tomorrow. And moving on from that, let's go straight across over to America, which is to do with WWE. Now, reportedly, there's been the statements being, reports of WWE Evolution ticket sales being lackluster. Now, whether this is 100% confirmed or, these are the early reports, it could be that, they might not be selling as well as WWE expected. But there is some sort of report that they're not selling as quickly as WWE would like. However, that could end up not being the case. As I've stated, it's only being reported. It's only rumours. It's not official. If any more news in regards to this does come about, I will hopefully get that straight out to yourselves and mentioned. Also, to do further with WWE. I know recently that Big Cass has actually released a statement in regards to him being released from WWE, which is, I know he has been, he has a different name because he is going to be wrestling on the independent circuits as Big Cass, changing S's to Z's. But he's no longer that. He's now, I believe he's now going under the name of the Big C instead. So what's going to happen in regards to that? He'll be known as Big C, but he has got goals and, a goal of hopefully returning to WWE one day in the future. As to in regards whether if he'll be working with Enzo, again, that possibly might not be likely, as he did state. It was a great pairing. If it happens, it happens. As the stars align, but that most likely might not be the case. As for his firing with WWE, he openly admits that WWE got the call right. That he made, it wasn't just the fact of he made a big mistake and he was punished for it. He was making multiple mistakes and upsetting a lot of higher ups. He even he'd even stated if he was Vince McMahon himself, he would have fired his ass a lot sooner than what they had done. So it's quite, it's quite it's very rare that we get that sort of thing on, with some wrestlers being released from WWE, that they openly admit their own mistake, and hopefully he does. He has learned from his mistake, and you never know. It could be that this could be something that allows him to learn from his mistake, improve himself, make himself bigger, better, badder, and that he is able to return to the roster down the road. Possibly a bit like how Drew McIntyre, also known as Drew, it was Drew McIntyre was able to do for WWE and be able to make a massive return, possibly even starting at NXT, working his way up again. That could possibly do some wonders for him. But I hope nothing but the best for the man formerly known as Big Cass, now known as Big C. I hope nothing but the best for his future, and hope he's able to learn from his mistake. But props for him owning up to his mistake. Now, unfortunately, I have got some very unfortunate news, as former WCW wrestler Frank Anderson, that's with two S's as well, has passed away at the age of 62 today due to suffering complication from surgery, which was, I believe, from 3 days ago, or 3 further days, and which involves a cardiac pump being inserted, and there's been, with the complications from the surgery, it's unfortunately he has passed away, from the surgery. So what I'm going to do now is a minute of silence, starting from now. I believe that would be a minute silence up. So condolences to Frank Anderson's family, friends, and work colleagues. You will be missed. In other news, in regards to CM Punk, a name that has, been popping up more, recently with his signing, helping with, with signatures, him giving out appreciation to all the fans that did turn up. Now, supposedly Scorpio Sky has called out CM Punk for not being at All Ins, but there was no malice really, would have been a great time to, make a return to wrestling, by turning up at an event that would have massively got you into it, even though, your former employee had possibly, begrudged you from wrestling, but it was more of a jokey way as such. But you never know. CM Punk could possibly return to the wrestling world, as at the moment he is currently still training for his next fight. As for if he is going to be having a next fight, that is uncertain at this moment in time. If there is any further news in regarding CM Punk with wrestling, I will hopefully be bringing that up again, in the future. And also, as I mentioned, All In, there has been teasers for a All In 2 as well. But as in regards to whether or not, as soon as I've got more details of when that's happening, I will hopefully be mentioning that. I apologise for the background noise that has just occurred, as I thought I had my phone on silent. I seem to be having many technical issues today, so apologies for that again. I will now be moving over to British wrestling, and as much as it might be focusing a little bit on myself, I would like to mention about my appearance at Pro Wrestling for You, the Full Monty, that happened last Friday. Now, I will state, absolute stellar show. I am very grateful that Pro Wrestling for You had me involved. I will state, as it was entertaining. I did not expect to enter so early, as being number 2 against Mark Morgan, who was number 1. As much as he was out there, he was he's a bit of a cheater as such. He's not against breaking rules. I've still got to commend him on his victory from outlasting all competitors from the number 1 slot. I believe I did not too bad myself, as for as long as I lasted, and I will state, but I can't complain, as at the time when my elimination occurred, I had just eliminated Perfect Paul James, who I had been possibly teaming up with, but then Perfect Paul James somehow decided to eliminate me from behind, but I had to turn the tables and eliminate him. But as soon as I eliminated him, I was distracted, and the current Pro Wrestling for You main champion, heavyweight champion, Dave Del Vecchio, eliminated me while I was distracted. So, in the Full Monty match or a Rumble match, you've got to have eyes at the back of your head. Unfortunately, I was unfortunate in that, but I can also say thank you very much for Pro Wrestling for You for having me involved on that show, and congratulations to Mark Morgan, who did win the match from the number 1 spot. Now, but something is still not sitting with me, even though I was eliminated by DDV. A lot of people might think I might have more of a personal issue with Dave Del Vecchio. It was more the actions of Perfect Paul James that alarmed me. The fact that he tried to eliminate me without me from behind, and then as we were both eliminated, I thought to myself, I was considering shaking his hand, say, fair enough. I understood why he tried to eliminate me, he's every man for himself, but it was more or less of he just dismissed me. I hope this isn't something, this isn't going to be something, a bit of a habit of, Perfect Paul James, but I may have to keep an eye out on him, possibly just make sure he doesn't develop an ego, and he doesn't do anything wrong. So I'll hopefully keep an eye out on that. Yes, as for yesterday, I was at Mind the Slap, which, as some of you may have actually listened to the special broadcast that actually occurred last Wednesday that I actually announced and actually did. Mind the Slap was such, I will state, it was a show that has an amazing cause for it, which is for the Mind Charity, and we're actually, the charity is for mental health, and it was an absolute great cause. And I've got to say to everyone that was involved, the higher ups for having me involved as well, thank you very much for all that were involved, and for all the the fans that did turn up and and help for such a great cause. I will not be revealing any spoilers, as the show will be possibly viewable online on YouTube. But, and fingers crossed, I'm hoping that there's no technical difficulties, as I was also possibly providing commentary with Magic Mark Adams. I've got to state, absolute fun that was, and he is a wonderful commentator to be, a wonderful colleague to work with, and it was very entertaining working with them. Absolute brilliance, I can honestly state. And yes, Magic Mark, if I am doing, if I am ever in a situation again where I'm doing commentating and also ringing the bell, I will make sure it is 2 bell rings for the start of the match and end of matches, just for you. But moving on from that, the last piece I want to cover for in regards to upcoming events for British Wrestling, which is I'm going to have to mention about Academy Pro Wrestling having a show this coming Saturday, which, if I'm not mistaken, the date for that is the 15th of September. If anyone wants to see any further dates, please check out the Academy Pro Wrestling social media. The show is called New Heights, and is actually got a wrestler that is from World of Sport, Martin Kirby. Martin Kirby from World of Sport will be there, and can honestly say it is one not to miss. I recommend anybody, if you can get a ticket there, get advance tickets, or if turn up on the night, you will have an amazing night, especially with Martin Kirby being there. Absolute stellar show possibly coming up for it, as we've got plenty on. And if you go to the Academy Pro Wrestling social media, most likely the Facebook, you'll most likely see some of the upcoming matches as well. And the final piece, as I have mentioned Martin Kirby, which is World of Sport, I have to issue a full apology for not mentioning World of Sport last week, which unfortunately I had that much news to cover. It's unfortunately didn't get covered, and there's no point in me covering last week's episode. In regards to this week's episode, unfortunately I can't cover it as I have not seen it, so as such I will not be mentioning this week's episode as well, which I do apologise for not doing so, but I will hopefully be catching up on World of Sport straight after this broadcast ends. And with that, I'm now going to move on to the plugs, which is I would love if everybody was able to check out UK Wrestling Alliance on all social media platforms, as such, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. There's, I'd love it if you're able to check out UK Wrestling Media as well, also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube, as they have got some absolute amazing matches on there as well. And if I'm not mistaken, have got the Wrestling for Mental Health show, and you never know, there could be even more shows appearing on there in the future. I'd like to give a shout out to JG Printing and Stitching, as they do amazing work. I want to give a massive shout out to Changes for Health and Wellbeing, as I've always stated, you never know. The information on their website could prove very useful, as you could actually help yourself or someone that you know. You never know. And with the same regard to that, I also recommend you check out Mind as well. I also want to give a massive shout out to Team 4-Star, who, for the second week, and 2 weeks in a row, I'm in shock. We've got another episode of Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Okay, it's episode 60, part 2, and there will be a part 3. But I'm hoping that we can keep this roll going, and we are getting more content, more Dragon Ball Z Abridged. If that's the case, I'm all up for it. It's great. I want to give a shout out to bands like Kamens and The New Breed. I recommend checking them out. They do some amazing music. Check out also their music videos on their YouTube channels as well. And as of course, I want you all to check out Botchamania. You're welcome, Matthew. As always, I have to fit you in every week. I'd also like you all to check out Barely Average Studios, a gaming, a YouTube channel that does game reviews. Please check them out. And of course, the last external plug I'd like to give a shout out to is Fatal Misfire, which is a online gaming stream, which they are usually streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with a start time of anytime between 7 PM and 9 PM GMT/BST, also known as UK Standard Time. And of course, I will also state that if you want to check that out, please go to http://twitch.tv/Fatal Misfire HD. As I have just noticed, that is the only link I've actually mentioned on here, as that is the only link I can actually provide. And, well, it's basically short enough for me to be able to provide on the broadcast. But, of course, that is the external plugs. I am now going to move on to please check out the Burning Truth website, which is www.theburningtruthuk.com, where you could be listening to me live right now, or you can be listening to past broadcasts, past interviews, be either reading show reviews or listening to the audio show reviews, checking out the merchandise, the snazzy t-shirts, and also the office mugs, which are great presents, can make great presents. As of course the blog, which will most likely have more predictions on there in future, and I will hopefully get a blog post out. I will just stop mentioning about that blog post, but apologies for that blog post not being out. And there's also a contact page where you can actually get in touch with the Burning Truth, and of course all the links that I have, most of the links I have mentioned will be on there, and hopefully in the upcoming days I will be adding more links onto there for future. Last thing to check out for the Burning Truth is please check out the social media for the Burning Truth, which is Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and of course Twitter, which is a little bit different, which instead of typing in the Burning Truth, please type in Wrestling Fourth Wall, which is spelled WRESLING 4THWALL, to check us out. But of course I'm pretty sure if you do type in the Burning Truth, you will hopefully find us on Twitter, of course, as well. And with that is going to be a wrap up for this week. But to state, next week will most likely be a pre-recorded episode, as I will be actually having a very busy weekend, possibly with wrestling and also doing some other business as well. So the episode will most likely be either a pre-recorded one or so I do apologize in advance if if I do encounter any further difficulties. But the episode will be pre-recorded for next week, that's for sure. So hopefully it should be getting released on time, anytime between 9 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. I'll aim for 9 because I'd rather get it out. I'd rather be on for 9 as much as possible because I don't want to be going too late. So with that, I hope you all stay well, stay safe, and of course I'll hopefully catch you next week. And last but not least, please, as always, check out your local wrestling. Till then, catch you laters.